All right. Um, I think this is working. I'm not sure. It looks sort of frozen on
All
my.
right.
Oh, okay, there we go. I just have to mute it so it doesn't echo. Um, Hi. Thank you all for joining us. We're about to kick off our first attempt at a live podcast with the National Disability Radio Live Election Day Extravaganza. We're so glad you could all be here watching us at home. We've got I don't know how Michelle feels about it, but today I'm going to sort of serve as the podcast host. I know that's a little controversial, Michelle, but I'm going to do my best attempt. Uh,
Pro-host.
we've
Pro-host.
got
There's a
a
term
great
for it.
lineup to.
Pro-host.
Also, Jack, you did miss the opportunity. Instead of extravaganza, you should have said party. Get it? Because
Oh, like political party.
No, we're
yes.
nonpartisan.
It
We're
is
nonpartisan.
Well,
really
I said
early in the episode for these kinds of jokes, Stephanie.
oh, fine. This is what happens when Stephanie's unfiltered.
We're supposed to save the dad jokes in the end.
Oh, don't worry, I've got one. Don't you worry.
So
All right.
we've
Wrangle things, pro-host.
all right. So we've got a great lineup today. You know them, you love them. We have the regular hosts, my colleagues and fellow hosts of National Disability Radio, Stephanie Flint McAben and Michelle Bishop. And joining us as guests today are Monica Wiley, NDRN's voter engagement specialist, and we have Maria Town, the president and CEO of the American Association of People with Disabilities. Thank you all for joining us today. Michelle, since you're sort of leading our election protection efforts, I wanted to start things off with you. Over the last, I'd say 4 years especially, we've seen some changes to the voting process a little. I'm wondering, in your experience, how things have changed and how that's impacted election protection work.
Oh gosh, how things have changed in the last couple elections.
Yeah.
Well, it's the middle of election day and I'm baking my stress, so that is not a good sign. But really, things I think are going all right today, given that really everything has changed about elections and how we run them. 2020 was like such a game changer. I wish I could say 2020 was the year that everyone realized how important people with disabilities are and that we should all have access to the vote, and that was what motivated all that, but not exactly. It was more like, you might remember, a minor worldwide pandemic. And so when we needed to socially distance during COVID, we made a lot of really good decisions about how we run elections to enable people to do that, like adding or expanding early voting, making it easier to vote by mail, letting people vote curbside and drive through, adding drop boxes. We went from, I think, like 5 states to 45 states that have drop boxes. So we just add a lot of options for voters. And that makes so much sense. It makes it work better for everyone. Especially is great for people with disabilities because we're such a big, diverse community. Then we can pick the method of voting that's going to work best for us, right? Everyone's different. But what we've seen since 2020 is kind of a mixed bag, I'd say, in the states. Some states thought, this is great. We should keep doing this. We had a record turnout. Let's make these changes permanent. And some states have rolled them back, and some states are doing a little bit of both, and many of them are fighting legal battles over it. So really what voting looks like is still very much dependent on where you are, what they do in your state, what they do in your county determines what options are available to you. But I think it's also a little chaotic for voters when they don't know what their options are going to be. If it's something that's been changing rapidly leading up to election day and there's litigation and things like that, and it goes back and forth. So I do think that this has been an extraordinarily kind of stressful and chaotic year for voters, unfortunately. But from the early signs, I think we're still seeing massive turnout. And I think that's really exciting. And I think for people with disabilities, we see a lot of the same barriers that we see. Curbside voting that's not being implemented, people not being allowed to use the assistant of their choice when they go to vote, heavy doors that need to be propped open, folks who can't stand in long lines. Some of the traditional barriers that have been there since before 2020, we still see. But also, people with disabilities are calling election protection. They're calling it in. They're finding out what their options are. And they're not giving up and going home until they've cast their ballots. And I think that that's something that's really exciting.
That is, and despite unfortunately a few of the rollbacks we've seen, I hope we continue to see more methods of accessible voting be widespread, because as you know, it made, 2020 had the highest disability turnout on record.
I think we could do it again this year, guys. I really think we could. I mean, if you're a person with a disability who's listening right now, first of all, hey, thanks. We appreciate you showing up to our first ever live episode. Maybe stay for the rest of it and we'll say some cool stuff and hopefully some funny stuff. But maybe as soon as it's over, go vote if you haven't voted yet. Help us make it possible.
Absolutely. Our next question is for Monica Wiley. What's it been like for you? This is your first time doing election protection.
Yes, Monica. Yes.
Well, thank you for a little bit of the rah-rah and cheer. I really appreciate it. Delighted to be here on this podcast today. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. Happy Election Day. And if you haven't had a chance to go vote yet, go vote after you finish listening to this great podcast. So my experience has been pretty good, pretty interesting. Of course, some exciting stuff happening along the way. It's good to see that people with disabilities are definitely turning out in this election. So that's very exciting to see and witness. And we see that, people are putting in social media about their first time voting or voting with their stickers. So that's always good. And just glad to be a part of the whole election protection and supporting and protecting our rights. And so it's been good. I will tell you that the day feels extremely longer than usual because I've been up since 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. I couldn't sleep last night. So for me, it feels like it should be 6 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But aside from that, it's been a pretty good experience. First time with the election protection in this capacity. And so it's been a learning experience, a great experience, and just delighted to be a part of it. So thank you, Jack, for asking.
Monica, you'll never forget it. It's like the first time, not even the first time, every time you help someone cast their ballot, like that never leaves you. Anyone who I've helped directly who was being denied the right to vote, I remember all of them. Like I have helped a woman who was on the way to the hospital in 2008 because her baby was coming early and she was literally in labor and she was panicked she wasn't going to get to vote. And I was like, you're my hero. You're in labor. Like, I would not be thinking about my vote right now. And I do this for a living. Voting is my everything.
Right.
What an incredible woman. And I remember that. I remember, a woman who we registered to vote who was in her 80s. And she said that she'd never voted for because her husband always did that when he was alive. And she got registered and her 18-year-old granddaughter got registered. And they talked to us on election day when her granddaughter took her and they went to vote together and they both voted for the first time. Like those stories, they never leave you. It's really exciting.
It is. It's very impressive. And so it's as the saying goes, once you become bit by something and you like it, you are hooked from that point forward. So I am hooked and I'm just glad to have this experience. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, you come to enjoy it, like watching the tracker, getting to see and know you're having an impact in real time, getting people in our community the information they need. It's nice to know, sometimes this work can feel like you're doing something in the abstract, but when you're doing stuff on election day, there's people it is impacting. There's people who are finding out from our social media, from the election protection hotline, what have you, what they need to do so that they can cast their ballot today. And without these kind of resources, there are people who unfortunately wouldn't get to vote. So it does make a difference. I want to change gears a little. We always talk about how we need people with disabilities to be more involved in the political process, how we need them to go out and vote. But then once all the voting's over and we have people in office, that can't be the end of our input. We need to be in the rooms where decisions are being made.
Room where it happens. I'm sorry, we don't have the rights to
Oh
Hamilton.
my
We do
gosh,
not
I
have the-
literally was about to sing
Stephanie,
that.
don't start
Nobody
singing it. We
Hamilton.
can't afford, we don't have the rights to this. Our
Don't sue us,
podcast budget
Emmanuel.
is
Don't
like,
sue us.
our podcast budget is like $500 a year. We cannot license Hamilton.
Wait, we actually have a budget? I didn't know
Uh,
that.
Not really, but
There's no budget.
the
There's no
budget is what it costs to get transcripts of each episode.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
And that time we bought, I think maybe that time we got a dog toy for the photo.
You mean an entire box of dog toys that is in the office right next to yours at work? I think there's like 20 in there. Anyway,
You guys
I'm
gotta
an
keep moving.
expert at getting
I'm
us
about
off
to start-
track.
I'm about to start singing Hamilton. You guys got to keep moving. I'm gonna get
Okay,
a-
I'll keep it pushing. I'll keep it pushing. So, Maria, you've been in the room where it happened. Could you talk a little about your experience being a person with a disability serving in various administrations?
Sure. Thanks so much for the question, Jack. So prior to coming to the American Association of People with Disabilities, I spent about a decade in government. And a part of that time, I led disability and aging engagement for the Obama White House. And I also led the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities at the City of Houston. So I was part of Mayor Turner's executive team. And both of these experiences were amazing and awesome, and I loved them. And they were also both incredibly difficult because I was often the only openly disabled person in a lot of the rooms that I was in. And I think that it speaks to these larger issues of how disabled people are really excluded from a lot of different opportunities for civic engagement and connection to the political process. And Monica is shaking her head because she's done a lot of work in this space as well from a different angle. But one of the ways that a lot of people will get political jobs in administrations is through working on a campaign. Campaigns are some of the most inaccessible things I have ever seen. You are expected to do your job with no support, kind of living off of Red Bull and pizza, and to stay awake all the time and respond to things within a few seconds. And there is a kind of like a badge of honor that comes with like having that type of campaign experience, which just, again, is not feasible for a whole lot of disabled people. Another, thing that campaigns often really value is volunteer hours. And like, did you go knock on doors in key states? Did you phone bank? And, these things are inaccessible to a whole lot of people. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see many openly disabled people kind of taking on key political appointments for folks who get elected. And one of the things that gives me hope today is that I think there are more ways to engage with campaigns than ever before. In 2012, text banking was not a big thing. And now text banking is everywhere, which is really accessible for a whole lot of folks. Phone banking required that you went to a specific place and worked with the voter database and did certain things. And now you can phone bank from your couch on your in your living room as you watch Netflix. And similarly, kind of related to what Michelle was saying, like with the pandemic, I think political campaigns were required to think about how to engage voters in different ways, because having all these in-person rallies and town halls wasn't safe. And so now we're seeing more virtual opportunities for engagement, which also allows for greater availability of things like captioning and ASL. So when I worked for the Obama administration, the Obama administration did not track the percentage of disabled appointees. And this was an incredibly frustrating reality for me all of the time. And one of the other kind of signs of progress that I always hold on to is, fast forward, I guess, 8 years later, and the Biden administration has tracked disabled appointees. And of all Biden administration appointees, 7% are people who identify as folks with disabilities. And that's not a huge number, but that is really significant, because when the administration started, that number was around 2%. And I'm saying this in a nonpartisan way. These are facts, right? So whoever wins the election, I hope they will continue to track disability as a kind of demographic data in their administration. And I also hope, like in the House and in the Senate, they do not track disability data of staffers. And so it is very hard for us to know what percentage of folks working on the Hill are people with disabilities. And I think as new folks go into office in the House and in the Senate, which we're all watching closely, we should hope that they're paying attention to, again, which positions have disabled people in them, and really valuing that as a perspective that contributes to positions on bills and things like that. So, Jack, I hope that answers your question.
Not only does it answer my question, you answered my follow-up, which was going to be, no matter who wins tonight, what could the next administration do to be more inclusive of disabled staffers? But I think you've done an excellent job touching on that.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
So one issue that was a big issue for the Biden administration, and I want to be clear, I have no idea what NDRN thinks about what I'm about to say. So, many people with disabilities use medical marijuana to manage conditions and things like pain, right? It is still not legal on a federal level, which means if you are applying for a appointment in the federal government, even if it's legal in your state, it is very hard for you to navigate the political appointment process. And I think this will be an issue for whoever wins, especially for younger appointees. And one thing that people don't realize is that the government needs a lot of young people who can who are at a, again, younger stage in life, who maybe don't have families yet, so they have more flexibility around their time. This was a huge issue for the Biden administration, and it's going to continue to be a huge issue for whoever wins, in terms of their ability to attract talent and the talent they need to make government run. Michelle got nervous when I started, so.
Actually, I was kind of like, do it, Maria, go rogue, go rogue. Maria and I are bad influences on each other, I'm realizing. But I actually don't think we've said anything about that one way or another, so.
I think it, like, APD hasn't done a lot on this issue, but we would support like legalization and decriminalization if it were a real thing.
And I think those of us at NDRN are going to leave it there, because we don't have
Yes.
a position and we don't get to make that
As
decision
you
for
should. Good
NDRN.
job.
Stephanie, I assume Eric has not designated to you to decide our position on this issue.
I do not have the authority to express NDRN's viewpoints on or lack or whatever. I don't have the authority to do any of that.
We cannot confirm or deny our position. But thank you, Marie. I do think that's a point worth raising. So I had a couple last questions for folks. Stephanie, before we started today, you were talking to me a little bit about disability etiquette at the polls.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that and shed a little bit more light on that. Thank you. So I voted in a lot of elections over the years. And so my experiences for the most part, I would say have been good overall, and I'm very grateful that I have not run into a whole lot of major hiccups. In 2016, unfortunately, I did have to have assistance filling out my ballot because the ballot marking device was not available. And so that was a little bit of a challenge, and that definitely posed a challenge. But in the 2020 presidential election, I got to vote using a ballot marking device. For context, folks who may not know, who may be, I don't know, super new to this and are just now stumbling across our podcast, I'm a blind person. And so using a ballot marking device is how I mark my ballot. But my experience in 2020 was pretty streamlined. And my experience this year, I did do early voting. And my experience this year was, for the most part, very streamlined. I think the main thing that I would, if I could tell poll workers, one thing in terms of, how to best assist disabled people. And this goes beyond the polls, right? And I feel like to some extent, I'm kind of preaching to the choir of our community. But when in doubt, ask. Never, ever, ever presume what people need. And for the most part, people were great about asking if I needed, assistance, what have you. But, always ask. When in doubt, don't grab, don't assume, all of that good stuff. So just a few reminders, and, of course, my disabled friends and fam and all the people, you also, I would encourage you to, advocate for yourself if you, are being over or under assisted, so to speak. So yeah, that's my little rant, I guess, for the day.
Stephanie, would you say they should not throw away their shot?
Yes! Don't throw away your vote. Oh goodness, it's fine. I'm trying to think of some more puns.
I can't help it, Jack. I'm sorry. I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry. So
I knew you were going to go there. I was like, this is going to be the next thing out of Michelle's mouth.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Well, this actually transitions nicely to one question that's not voting related, but is a debate we've been having.
Wait a second. Does that mean we're going to take a break?
No. No.
That was another Hamilton pun.
That was another Hamilton reference.
The Hamilton puns are coming nonstop.
Okay, I missed that. That clearly went right over
that
my
one
head.
I got.
Like,
we
right
don't
over.
have to take a break, Stephanie, because it's quiet uptown.
That one was forced. And you give,
that one was.
And you give Stephanie crap for her jokes.
It is the last thing it is today on election day is quiet uptown. It's unimaginable how loud it is.
Me doing
today.
one stretch does not magically make Stephanie's jokes funny. That is such a false comparison, but go on.
Stephanie's jokes are great. Okay.
Well, this somewhat.
You guys want to see my patriotic cookie cutters?
Yes.
Please.
Ready? Okay, here we go. This is a map of the United States. And this one's a star. And the flag broke, but that's a flag. The American
Oh
I
what-
know. I can fix it. I can fix it.
That breaks my heart.
Oh, I can fix them. No, really, I can. There's a Taylor Swift lyric. And then a donkey and an elephant.
I love it.
Nice.
Oh, can the people see my Party Crasher shirt?
I bake to relieve my stress.
We cannot, Stephanie.
Ah, okay. All right. I'm going to lower the, is this?
Now we
It's
can.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
So for my potential blind people who are streaming this, I'm wearing a shirt that says Party Crashers on it, and there is a donkey and an elephant on the shirt.
Yes, to those watching at home, I think it's cut off on the camera, but there is also an elephant there. We are
Crap.
not
Yes.
Should
partisan.
probably should we make
are
sure to
not
show the elephant?
partisan.
Okay. I think I can be seen again.
You could be seen.
Cool.
Okay, so this question isn't really voting related, but it's something we were having a spirited debate about the other day. So we're going to do a quick lightning round for those of us who are hip hop fans.
Ah,
Who are your
No.
top three?
yes.
And Monica, I'll kick it off with you.
All right. What do you what do you want me to like spit a
Just-
verse? Do a
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Top three.
top three.
Yeah.
Top three. Jay-Z, Tupac. I'm stuck between three people for the third one, which is bad. And that is Eminem, Busta Rhymes, and Jadakiss.
it's a fair ranking.
Is it?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
listen, I'm an 80s
Look,
kid, you're
hold
the
on.
80s and 90s.
Jay-Z number one.
I think if we're gonna share all of these, we have
Yes.
to make this a judgment-free zone.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you, Maria.
it is up to the listeners.
Maria,
Thank
you
you.
don't
Judge.
listen to our
Thank you,
podcast,
Maria.
do you?
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, this
Appreciate
is
that.
not a judgment-free zone. It never has.
Yeah, Michelle judges
Very
me all the
judgmental.
time. But
Very
I
cool.
like Maria being the mediator over here. I'm like here for it because, yeah, I don't even. Anyway, continue.
You know, yeah, I mean those are mine.
well-
I'm happy to spit a couple of verses from each one, but I'll yield
Please.
to everyone else.
Well,
Fine.
Come on, give us a verse.
Maria,
Come
we'll
on. One verse.
try to be non-judgmental. Who's your big three?
Okay, so this is, I think, before I give my top three, I think it is important for folks to know that I am from the South, right? I grew up in Louisiana, I lived in
Can't wait.
Georgia, and I lived in Texas. So
Okay. Thank you for the
Um,
disclaimer.
Lil Wayne is number one. Missy Elliott, who,
Oh.
and then I'm gonna take this in a different direction because I also couldn't choose a number three. So I'm going out on a limb here and choosing Timbaland because I think that he has produced some amazing music. And when I think about so much of the music I like, he has had some hand in it.
That's fair. I do think you need to consider overall impact because that was a factor in my ratings as well. I had to consider, okay, number one for me, no surprise to those who know me, it is Kendrick Lamar.
All
I
right.
think just as a lyricist, he is sort of, I just think he's sort of the best lyricist I've heard. There are others who definitely came before him who paved the way, but he has been consistently great for a while now. Number two, I'm not sure if I would have put him up there until his latest album, but he has been on a great streak of 4 albums. I've gone to watch him evolve from someone who was kind of doing shock value music a decade ago to some pretty deep and personal stuff now. Tyler, the Creator. And because he also produces a lot of his own beats. Now, number 3, I am torn between 2 choices. Number 1, or one of them being Pusha T, he has had a great run of being relevant for a long time now. I mean, the stuff he did with Clips, his later solo work. I think we're getting another Clips album. But I'm torn between him and Monica. You're gonna like this, Jay-Z.
Whoa, I'm shocked.
I'm a New
I don't-
Yorker. I gotta put one
Wow.
New Yorker on the list. And then,
Okay.
I thought about it. He has like 12 albums, and I like 10 of them. He's had a good run.
And I wish you would have heard me and our colleague Dwayne talk about when I broke it down between Jay-Z and Nas, and so that's a conversation for another day. But yes. I can, yes.
Monica
Albums
has a
are
whole
fine.
taxonomy of rappers
I
about like their orientation to philosophy versus their orientation to facts, and like whether or not they talk about concepts of life or spit the facts to teach you something.
That is a very good summary, Maria, and I appreciate that. Absolutely. That's exactly what I said, pretty much, and how I look at the two. And happy to, give a long extended version of what Maria
short
just
podcast,
summarized, but
Monica.
yes.
Short podcast, Monica.
Okay, well, yeah.
Now, Michelle, I saw you shaking your head quite a bit as I went through mine. So please do us the honor.
If she don't say KRS-One, which is in comparison to Most Def, I'm gonna scream.
I first of all need my twin flame Dwayne from AAPD to be here so that this could be a judgmental space once again. It's more fun when we're judgy and we argue.
It is.
Because we love each other behind the scenes, but it's definitely more entertaining content when we judge. Okay, top 3. Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Nas, Childish Gambino, and all of the Wu-Tang Clan. I can't cut it down any more than that.
No
was-
KRS-One?
I was wondering if Childish Gambino was going to show up.
No KRS-One? Are you kidding me?
I mean, that would be top 10.
Michelle!
You didn't rank KRS-One? What do you?
Well, no, because he's in the same category with Mos Def and Talib. I mean, KRS-One paved the way. No KRS-One? Really?
You picked Jay-Z.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you why?
Hove is up there.
Huh?
Hove is up there.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are,
and like Michelle said, we don't have enough time because I can go on and on and on. But
No,
Michelle.
no.
All right, so if you're gonna say that, fine, then I will say Big Daddy Kane, because Big Daddy Kane paved the way for Jay-Z.
No one has enough time for Monica's thesis on Jay-Z. Literally, the earth doesn't have enough time. Climate change will kill us all before Monica's done talking about Jay-Z.
Very true. Very true. Very true. I'm just saying. I mean, I figure you would throw in there KRS-One somewhere, because I was like, okay, she's gonna say KRS-One. I'm like, okay, cool. All right.
You can't be from New York and say the bridge is over. It's too cliche.
Well, yeah. But again,
it's like, okay, you ever watch what's that show? Wheel of Fortune? And
yes.
You don't have to guess RSTLNE anymore because everyone said RSTLNE and they just give it to you and then everyone says CDMA. So KRS-One is the RSTLNE of hip hop. It doesn't need to be said.
That's true. Facts. That's facts. Okay. Fair. That's fair.
Finally agreed.
That's fair. And I can get down with Wu-Tang. But I mean, even with Wu-Tang though, with Meth, I mean, you're gonna have to throw in there his boy Redman. Did you hear the latest one that he did on a ringtone? Fire. Even Meth was like, it was fire. Like, he was just straight spitting, like Busta Rhymes said. I can go on and on. Stephanie, go ahead. Because
I was gonna say, we want to hear Stephanie's list.
No, you don't.
Wants to hear Stephanie's list.
No,
yes, Stephanie, what is it? Come on, Stephanie.
Hey, I don't know if Maria knows the history of Stephanie's utter lack of pop culture knowledge.
I'm picking up that vibe just based on like how much y'all have not let Stephanie talk.
She thought Smooth Criminal was the Santana song.
No. Wait, Smooth as in like the Matchbox 20 Santana collaboration?
Yes, she confused that with Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson.
Okay.
And it hurts, right? Doesn't it hurt a little bit?
Really bad.
You
Yes.
know, everybody's got to start somewhere.
But something
That's a
tells
good
me
answer.
something tells me Stephanie's about to have like a really good list of rappers.
All right,
Potentially.
Stephanie, give it
Is
to us.
Is this the episode where she surprises us?
And
Oh,
please don't say no Vanilla Ice, because I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm leaving.
What's wrong with Vanilla Ice though?
Oh
And who's that
my-
again?
No. You know
You're
what?
not being serious.
Stephanie, we're gonna wait to do. I'm not saying judgment free, but we're gonna wait and we're gonna let her get her top 3 out.
Okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
Then we'll be judgment.
I thought it was
Okay, so the Beastie Boys are fun. Does that count?
That is one.
Okay.
Boys are iconic.
The Salt and Pepper group is fun. Does that
Okay.
count?
Okay,
Respect,
okay,
respect. I love
okay.
them.
2.
Okay, and then does Beyonce count? Because I do like Beyonce.
N-
No?
I don't think Beyonce counts.
Oh, that's so sad. Okay.
Never like categories Beyonce in anything because she just transcends all
I-
genres.
She has
I think
songs
Beyonce
that
is
I'd
R&B and
consider
pop.
rap, but
She made a country album. She
That
transcends
That's true.
genre. She's
That,
just,
Michelle, that.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Beyonce's
So
like a different category.
okay. But Lil Wayne made a rock album. To be fair,
Yeah, and Cowboy
It's
Carter
Wayne
is
is not-
Americana. Like it transcends country. Like I'm not saying it's not country, but I do think it is bigger than country.
it definitely is bigger than country.
And not
I
many
would
things
agree with
are
that.
country.
But if you want to throw Beyonce in the mix, you could just you could say Jay-Z.
Oh, okay, yeah, by association.
Yes.
He's the one
Did you
who
have a
sings.
backup pick?
He sings New York, right?
he,
Yes.
close enough. Yes. You know what?
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, all right,
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
Alicia Keys.
With Alicia Keys.
yeah, Alicia Keys. They sing the New York song.
Was that your backup pick, or did you have a backup if we said no to Beyonce?
I
Yeah,
didn't
so-
have a backup if y'all said no to Beyonce. I was literally gonna go through like my mind to be like, what rappers have I heard of? Like, isn't there a rapper named Little Scrap somewhere?
You also
Probably.
Are you talking Little Scrappy with that was with Lil Jon and the Yin Yang Twins?
That sounds a lot. Oh, I know who the Yin Yang Twins are. They sing the
No.
set it.
No.
There's literally nothing they sing that you can say on this
Don't
podcast when it's live.
I think so. I think that we could tell voters that we hope they stand up and get crunk at the polls.
Oh, yes. That's a good
Alright.
one. Yes.
the voting machines are to the windows and to the walls.
Yep.
Leslie writes that.
All
lyric.
right. And Michelle,
Fine.
what can, if their voting machines are not crunk, who can they call for help?
Don't say Ghostbusters. Oh,
No,
Jack,
no.
don't forget I have a joke at the end.
Oh, we'll get back to your joke, Stephanie. I'm just
Okay.
getting us away from this topic.
You can you can always, so you have a couple options. You can always contact the PNA in your state. You can go to ndrn.org, go to the top left and click on Find Us in Your State to find the PNA, but also anyone can call the Election Protection Hotline. The main number is 866-OUR-VOTE, OURVOTE. If you go to 866ourvote.org, there are multiple hotlines in other languages, a text message option, and a web chat option if calling doesn't work for you. And they should be connected to your PNAs. And honestly, if you have a really, really hard time voting and you get bumped all the way up to the National Command Center's Disability Access Hub, you're looking at it, and we'd be happy to help you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're drinking instead of C. This is why he's the producer, not the host.
Wait, what?
I am drinking Gatorade.
Gatorade.
Clarify that.
I was
please.
about to say we need to specify for the people who might not be able
Oh,
to see
yeah,
you
no.
on
Gatorade, very specifically Gatorade. Stephanie, did you just bust out Gatorade too? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same kind, yes?
Oh my gosh, is it
Sponsor
really?
us. Please sponsor us.
you had to, because we're going to be sued by Lin-Manuel Miranda very soon, and we don't have any money.
I thought you
Gatorade.
pronounced his name Manuel. That's how my voiceover does it. And you know, voiceover never lies.
I have
All
nothing
right.
to say.
That was me being sarcastic. Okay.
Yeah, I have
Okay,
nothing
okay.
to say.
Stephanie, what is
Stephanie.
your voting joke?
Oh, thank you, Maria. I am so
Yep,
glad
and
you.
then
Michelle, are you okay?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You
Hold
need
on.
a chance to breathe.
I need a chance to breathe.
Doing my stretches.
Not
Okay. All right.
Shaking off. I'm ready.
What
was
did
another
the
Taylor Swift reference.
ballot? Are you ready?
Yep.
What did the ballot say to the voter?
You're rejected.
Anyone have a
Oh,
guess?
I think I have something.
Oh,
Go, Maria.
Thanks for checking on me.
oh, that's a good one.
Yes,
But
you should always check your ballot and verify that it's marked correctly before you cast. Yes, Maria.
it's mark my words.
What evil witch laugh after that joke?
Did the sound effect work? Did you
Wait, did
guys?
Stephanie always have a really evil laugh? And I just noticed it?
That wasn't
Is
me.
you?
That was
That was
me.
Maria.
That was Maria.
Maria. Have a fill-in laugh?
No, Stephanie has an obnoxious Southern lady laugh.
Maria, you have a laugh like a Disney queen. I respect you even more.
Yes.
That is one of the highest compliments you could give me, Michelle.
And you guys, for me, it is a compliment. I love it. Yes. I thought that was Stephanie because I looked up and I saw Stephanie laughing and I was like,
Oh, I always laugh at my own jokes. I just try to be quiet about it. Just doesn't always work.
mark my words. There you have it.
Mark
All
my
right.
words.
Well, I think we all have to get back to election protection, but thank you all for joining us today. And if you're listening at home, get out there and vote.
Bye.
Oh, and
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
go
you.
vote.